Hello, everyone. My name is Emily, and I'm here to share a story that's both difficult and empowering. From the start, I never expected to get along with my mother-in-law, Sophia. She always had a sharp tongue, particularly when it came to my cooking or my career. I tried my best to let her comments slide and stay composed, but it wasn't easy. Our relationship hit a new low a few years ago at a family gathering. Sophia, having had a little too much to drink, turned to me and bluntly said, "Emily, I never really thought you were good enough for my son, but I guess not everyone gets what they want." The words cut deeper than I expected, and the silence around us only made the sting worse. I had done nothing to provoke her. I had always been a devoted partner to her son, Bruce, and to hear that from her was devastating. I excused myself and retreated to the bathroom, where I cried for what felt like hours. That day, I made a decision to distance myself from Sophia. I interacted with her only when necessary, at family events, and this decision helped preserve my mental peace. Looking back, I sometimes feel a sense of pride in how I handled it, even if I give myself a metaphorical pat on the back. But more than that, this story is about standing by the people you love, even when you're met with unprovoked hostility, and about how love can be stronger than the need for familial approval. Bruce, my husband, has been my constant support through it all, and our bond has only grown stronger. As for Bruce's perspective, he knew Sophia and I didn't exactly click. He chalked it up to the typical mother-in-law and daughter-in-law tensions, something most couples experience, but he was completely unaware of the hurtful comment Sophia made that night. I chose not to tell him. Although honesty is key in a relationship, I couldn't bring myself to break his heart. Bruce adored his mother, and telling him would have crushed him. I wanted to protect him from that pain, especially because I had never had a strong relationship with my own mother. A few weeks later, Sophia invited us to a dinner at her house, which also happened to be a work event. "You two need to come to my party," she insisted over the phone. "It's important, and I've invited some family members to impress my colleagues." Before we could respond, she'd already hung up. Bruce turned to me. "What do you think, babe?" Honestly, I preferred to skip it. "I'd rather sit this one out," I said. "Oh, come on, Emily, you're no fun anymore. You never want to go to family functions. I know you don't like my mom, but is it really that bad?" he asked, unaware of the full extent of what had happened. I explained that large groups made me uncomfortable, especially since this event was more about Sophia's work colleagues than family, but Bruce persisted, thinking that maybe this was Sophia's way of making amends. "Come on, let's help her out. It sounds like she wants you there. Maybe this is her way of extending an olive branch. Please, come with me." How could I say no to my loving husband? "Okay, babe, let's do it." Little did I know, that night would mark a turning point in my relationship with Sophia. We arrived at the event looking sharp, as Sophia had specifically requested. It was clear from the crowd that this was a significant gathering, likely hosted to impress her superiors and perhaps further her retirement plans. She was determined to make an impression. As always, I braced myself for the subtle jabs Sophia had a knack for delivering, so discreetly that she could always deny them if anyone called her out. We all know someone like that, don't we? Navigating these situations was never easy, but I was prepared to face whatever came next. Although I was always able to pick up on Sophia's snide remarks, I'm the type who shies away from confrontation. I'd usually just brush off her negativity, letting it roll off my back. But that night, as I prepared myself for another evening of dodging unpleasant comments, something completely unexpected happened. When I first saw Sophia in quite a while, she greeted me with warmth I wasn't prepared for. "Oh, my darling Emily, how have you been? You've been MIA. I'm so glad you came out this time," she exclaimed, her voice unexpectedly soft. I was taken aback. "Oh, I didn't think you'd noticed I was gone," I replied, unsure how to react. "Nonsense," she continued, her smile wide. "I'm so glad Bruce convinced you to come. You look stunning. By the way, red is definitely your color. Darling, you should wear it more often." Her kindness caught me off guard. I couldn't help but wonder, had something changed? Why the sudden shift in attitude? Part of me wanted to believe she was being sincere, but after all the years of her passive-aggressive behavior, I couldn't help but be skeptical. As the evening unfolded, Bruce and I were paraded around to meet Sophia's colleagues, almost like prized possessions. Bruce, ever the smooth talker, seemed to have inherited that gift from his mother. Conversations flowed easily, and I began to feel more at ease. Her colleagues, surprisingly, were kind and pleasant, which was a relief. As the night went on, I found myself cautiously enjoying the evening, though a part of me stayed on edge, still wondering about the true reason behind Sophia's sudden shift in demeanor. Then, amid the crowd of familiar faces, one person caught my attention, Paul, a friend I hadn't seen in ages. His presence was a welcome sight. "Paul, how are you?" I greeted him warmly. "Hey, Emily, it's been a while, can we talk for a minute?" His tone was serious, and instantly, my concern flared. Why was Paul, usually the life of the party, so somber tonight? He led me to a quiet spot outside, away from the noise of the party. My anxiety grew as I asked, "Paul, what's going on?" "Mace, I have some news. I'm sorry in advance, but I thought you needed to know," he said, his face etched with concern. A chill ran down my spine. "Paul, I'm getting scared here. What is it?" I asked, my voice trembling. He hesitated, then sighed deeply. "I'm sorry for keeping you in suspense. It's not easy for me to say. Part of me is embarrassed because it took me so long to bring this up." I tried to reassure him. "Oh, Paul, if this is about that old crush you had on me, it's really not a big deal. It's all water under the bridge." He shook his head. "No, it's not that, but now that you mention it," he trailed off for a moment, then quickly refocused. "It's about Aunt Sophia." I blinked, confused. "Well, tonight she's actually been quite charming. She even complimented my outfit." I was starting to think maybe she was trying to make peace, I said, hopeful that Sophia might be turning over a new leaf. Paul's face darkened. "I don't think you'll feel the same way after seeing what I have to show you." He pulled out his phone, his expression grim, and played a video for me. It was Sophia, tipsy and unguarded, talking to one of her friends in the kitchen. I could hear her voice, slurred slightly, as she said, "And her nose is way too big. She should seriously consider getting a nose job. And that dress." My heart sank as the words echoed in my mind. The kindness she had shown me tonight felt like a cruel joke. I knew Sophia didn't have much of a fashion sense, but this was just horrendous. I didn't know who had told her that red was her color, but whoever it was should be arrested. Hearing her words felt like a punch in the stomach. Just when I thought we might be making progress, she revealed her true feelings. It was a stark reminder of the reality behind her seemingly kind facade. At the party, the revelation from Paul had left me stunned, but, sadly, this kind of shock was starting to feel all too familiar. Each time, the severity of Sophia's malice surprised me anew. Even though I had grown somewhat accustomed to her critical nature, nothing could have prepared me for this. Earlier in the evening, as I returned from the bathroom, I had inadvertently overheard her talking maliciously about me. I stayed hidden just out of sight, trying to gather as much context as I could. "I'm so sorry for all the awful things she said about you," Paul said, his face full of regret. "It's okay, Paul," I replied, my voice tinged with resignation. "Unfortunately, I'm kind of used to it by now." "But that's the problem," Paul countered, his eyes earnest. "You let her walk all over you." I sighed, shaking my head. "I'm sorry I didn't show you this earlier," he said, his regret palpable. "There's nothing to apologize for," I reassured him, trying to ease his concern. But Paul wasn't talking about the video he had already shown me. "I'm not talking about this one," he said, his voice dropping lower. "There's another one, something I've kept from you all these years. I thought you wouldn't want to see it, something so embarrassing, but after what I saw tonight, I'm glad I kept it." With that, Paul pulled up another video on his phone. At first, I didn't understand what he was showing me. It looked like a casual recording of him chatting with a relative. But then, in the background, I heard words that sent a chill through my body. "You know, Emily, I never really thought you were good enough for my son, but I guess we can't all have everything we want, can we?" Suddenly, the camera panned toward the source of the voice, revealing me. I looked visibly upset. And there, in the background, was Sophia, smirking in my direction. I hurriedly exited the scene, unaware that the recording was still running, while Sophia remained, her expression smug as she continued to speak dismissively about me. "Oh, come on, we were all thinking it," she sneered. "I can't stand that girl. I don't even know what Bruce sees in her. She's so ugly, and I doubt she even knows how to be a good mother." Her rant continued, the words cutting deeper with each passing second, until Paul, perhaps sensing the situation had escalated too far, intervened. "Okay, Auntie Sophia, let's get you some water," he suggested gently, leading her away. The footage abruptly ended. The video was a painful but crucial piece of evidence, showing Sophia's true feelings in an unfiltered moment. It was hard to swallow, especially knowing that her recent acts of kindness were probably just a facade. I'd suspected as much after the incident, and now the confirmation stung even more. "I knew she said those things after the incident," Paul admitted, his voice laced with regret. I hesitated to show you this. It's a lot to take in, and I realize now I should have told you sooner. Maybe things could have been different. I was hoping Sophia was starting to accept you, but after today, it's clear nothing's changed. Despite the sharp pain of realizing that others had known about Sophia's true sentiments while I had remained in the dark, I appreciated Paul's intention to protect me. Thank you for telling me now, I said, swallowing my frustration. Better late than never, I guess. Paul nodded. I'm going to send these videos to you now. You can decide what to do with them, but I think you should show them to Bruce. A surge of determination flooded me. I was tired of being passive, of being overlooked, while Sophia's blatant disrespect went unchallenged. It was time to take a stand. Actually, I have a better idea, I said, my grip tightening on my phone, the videos securely saved. With newfound resolve, I strode toward the living room, where Sophia was holding court with her colleagues, proudly presenting herself. Oh, darling, I'm so sorry, but this area is off limits for now, she said, dismissing me with a flick of her hand. Trust me, I have some very important information that I think your coworkers would love to hear, I countered, my voice steady. Sophia smirked, clearly unaware of what was coming. Oh, then by all means, share what you have to say. Is it about my work ethic or my leadership skills? I met her smirk with a calm, unwavering gaze. It's even better than that. It shows the real you. Sophia's expression faltered for a split second, but she quickly recovered. Marvelous. Then by all means, connect your phone to the TV. She turned to her colleagues with a flourish. Oh, you guys, isn't my daughter-in-law just darling? She's made a whole presentation about me. The room buzzed with murmurs of anticipation as the spotlight shifted to me. Just then, Bruce entered, having received my urgent text. Hey, I got your text. What's going on? He asked, his voice filled with concern. I looked at him, my resolve firm. Hey, love, I needed you here for this. It's very important. I stood my ground, unwavering. Bruce looked at me, confused but intrigued. Bruce, can you believe it? Your wife made such a lovely presentation about me, I said, my voice steady but full of purpose. Sophia, completely unaware of what was about to unfold, called out to the gathering guests. Everyone, come and see this, she urged as the living room slowly filled with people. I took a deep breath, knowing what I was about to do. I glanced at my phone, then pressed play, my fingers trembling slightly. Sophia, yes, I know you've never liked me, and honestly, I don't even understand why. All night, you've been acting like we're one big happy family, I said, my voice loud enough for everyone to hear. I hit play, and Sophia's true feelings echoed through the speakers. The room went silent as her harsh words filled the space. People began to shift uncomfortably, their whispers growing louder as they processed what they were hearing. Bruce was still looking at me, his expression a mix of confusion and disbelief. Just trust me on this, I whispered to him, my gaze locked on Sophia. Turning to her, I asked, Sophia, I understand you don't like me, but why be so cruel? Sophia's eyes narrowed, a defensive edge to her voice. I don't know what you're talking about. Give me back the remote. You shouldn't be present anymore. I stood firm, not backing down. Not until I'm finished, I said, holding the remote in my hand. Remember how you said you loved my dress and that I looked good in red? Yes, of course, she replied, though there was a hint of uncertainty in her voice. Then why did you say this? I asked, pressing play again, revealing the video that Paul had shown me earlier. Sophia's words were cruel and unforgiving, and I felt the sting all over again. The room gasped in shock, everyone now fully aware of what had transpired. Bruce's face hardened, his anger growing as the truth came to light. Sophia tried to cover up her tracks. I was talking about someone else, obviously, she blustered, glancing desperately around the room, but I was the only one wearing red that night. Sophia's face flushed with anger and confusion. What are you trying to prove here, Emily? She snapped. Everyone, please don't mind this mishap. I believe Emily isn't well. You should go lie down, Sophia said, trying to deflect. Oh no, Sophia, I feel perfectly fine. In fact, I feel very liberated, I responded calmly, my voice echoing throughout the room. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not all. Let me show you something that happened about 4 years ago. Some awful words were said to me and about me, and I thought it best to share them with you. I pressed play on the second video, the one that had haunted me for so long. As the video played, the shock and disgust were palpable, and Bruce's expression turned darker. When it ended, a heavy silence fell over the room. Everyone, This is the real Sophia, I said, turning to face the crowd. She might seem kind and warm, but don't be fooled. She can be as sweet as apple pie to your face, but the moment you turn around, she's ready with the sharpest insults. The weight of the moment wasn't just about exposing Sophia, it was about reclaiming my dignity and making it clear that I would no longer tolerate being disrespected in silence. I've had the pleasure of meeting many of you this evening, and it's clear that you're all part of a respectable business. I urge you to consider carefully how you support or promote Sophia, because based on my experiences, I would find it difficult to continue collaborating with someone who has shown such ugliness and cruelty. Sophia, her face red with fury and panic, frantically searched the room for someone to back her up, but no one came to her aid. Well, you see, the thing is, I was very drunk, she stammered, trying to excuse her behavior. One of the guests called out, "Yeah, but a drunk mind speaks a sober heart." Sophia's panic deepened. "Who said that? Reveal yourself," she demanded, her voice tinged with desperation. Bruce finally broke his silence. "No, I think it's you who needs to apologize, Mom," he said, his voice firm and filled with anger. He had been quiet until now, but the frustration was evident in his words. "You treated my wife like this." Sophia tried to deflect. "Oh, come on, everybody, I was just joking. It's all a prank, right? That's what you kids do nowadays, isn't it? Stop lying to us, Mom," Bruce shot back. "You're only embarrassing yourself more. You are a pathetic woman and a sad excuse for a colleague and mother-in-law. I'm glad everyone sees what I see now." Sophia began to cry, her attempts to shift the focus back onto herself falling flat. She sought sympathy, but no one was willing to offer it. Her desperation was clear, and with every word, her facade crumbled. As she lashed out at everyone, including her colleagues, accusing them of being trolls for not believing her, her situation only worsened. One by one, people began to leave the room, including her supervisors and superiors. It was clear her behavior had isolated her professionally and personally. The fallout from this event was severe. Bruce later told me that he overheard colleagues saying Sophia would be fired immediately for her gross misconduct. The next day, she was let go with only a modest pension, far less than she had hoped for. After the event, Sophia's pride took a blow. Bruce, Paul, and a few other family members stayed behind to confront her. He demanded that she apologize for her actions, and reluctantly, she did, though she hurried off to her room immediately afterward. Months passed, then half a year, and eventually a full year. Still, there was no word from Sophia. The once boisterous woman who had always held so much influence had become as silent as a mouse. It was a sad, self-inflicted fall from grace, and one that no amount of isolation could undo. Her silence spoke volumes. How pathetic it seemed that someone who once held so much power chose to cut herself off from the family rather than seek reconciliation.